Good afternoon and welcome to the LSU Women's Basketball Tournament Update from The Advocate and brought to you by Hancock Whitney. I'm Zach Ewing here with Scott Rabalais, and we're just hours away now from LSU's national semifinal game against Virginia Tech. It's exciting time, Scott. Set the scene for us, if you would. There, you're at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, just like I said, 3 hours or so away from tip-off.
We're here. The fans are here in downtown Dallas. There's been pep rallies, and of course, yesterday was practice day and press conference day with the schools. The four teams, everybody's got their fans and bands and cheerleaders. It's a big event, and there's a big feeling for both of it. I think, for all of it, I think everyone's excited on one level or another to be here. And also, you even have the Division II and III championship games going to be here tomorrow. So it's a nice thing that they've been included. So, but it's been a long time since LSU's been here, 15 years, and it kind of has a familiar feel. But at the same time, I think the event has grown a lot since the last time LSU played in it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that the women's Final Four is maybe the fastest growing, quote unquote, big event in our country's sports scene. Because, first of all, it's only 40 some years old. It's younger than most anyway. And just the advent of Title IX and a generation of girls now going on a second generation who grew up with that to look forward to, and that is sort of a beacon in their sporting future, has made a difference. And I think as media, maybe sometimes we've been slow to catch up, but we're getting there. And LSU obviously is at the forefront of that. This is their fourth Final Four on the women's side. They've been to 3 Final Fours on the men's side as well. Have yet to actually win a game at the Final Four on either side, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. So I guess the obvious question is Virginia Tech tonight. They're a 1 seed. LSU is a slight favorite in the game. It's expected to be very competitive. Can they get it done tonight? Can they get that breakthrough victory and get to Sunday's national championship game?
I think they can, and this is the 6th Final Four for the women, 4 for the men, so 10 combined overall. But you're right, LSU has never won a game on either side. It's 0 for 9, lots of Final Four futility for both programs. They can get it done. It has a similar feel to me of the game they had in the regional semifinal with Utah, which was a 3-point LSU win. They've got an excellent post player. They've got some excellent guard play. Seem like they're more guard oriented. Not a height disadvantage for LSU, other than Elizabeth Kitley, their center, the All-American, who's 6'6" and averages a double-double herself. She's got like 22 double-doubles this year, so she's an excellent player. And Georgia Amore, they shoot very well from outside. Have been shooting it better than LSU has, but it's a game. LSU has an advantage in rebounding overall. They're not a deep team either, like LSU. They only play 6 or 7 players typically in a game if it's going to be a close one. So that's not a disadvantage for LSU. No experience for either team in terms of players, but Kim Mulkey is, of course, experienced being in these settings, and the Virginia Tech is here for the very first time as a program. So I anticipate a close game. It should be exciting, and then there's a lot of anticipation for the second semifinal between South Carolina and Iowa. South Carolina, of course, the overwhelming favorite, but Iowa's got Caitlin Clark, the National Player of the Year, who could light it up, and she could, if she goes Pete Maravich on them, maybe they have a chance. But it looks like 2 exciting semifinals leading up to Sunday's championship game.
Yeah, let's talk about that second semifinal just for a minute, Rab, and then we'll circle back to LSU. Iowa, obviously, with Caitlin Clark coming off a 41-point triple-double in their quarterfinal game. I think she had 31 in the Sweet 16 game against Colorado as well. She is by far the best scorer on the perimeter in women's college basketball, now going up against by far the best team in college basketball. I mean, there's hype in that game for a very good reason. I know LSU fans focused on LSU, but that second one, that one's the primetime slot for a reason.
Yeah, I was not surprised that they put LSU and Virginia Tech in the early game, with South Carolina being the defending champion, number 1 all season long, 36-0 against Caitlin Clark, who's a player that I think, even a lot of casual fans, if you watch any women's basketball this year, you've probably heard of Caitlin Clark at Iowa. I believe she leads the nation in scoring. She's just tremendous, and she gives them a chance. That said, South Carolina hasn't had many close games this year. They got pushed to overtime by Ole Miss. They had a close game with Stanford. They seem to be very good at holding teams at arm's length. Sometimes they don't score a lot, but they're not letting the other team score. The Maryland game in the Elite Eight, Maryland scored and pushed them in the first half, and South Carolina had an answer every time. So we'll see if they can do that again. Sometimes you get to this stage, if the other team can make it a close game, you can be, if you haven't been pushed a lot or haven't had a lot of tough games to get through, you can feel like out of place, unprepared a little bit. Yeah, I remember it's been many years, but UNLV was undefeated going to the Final Four on the men's side. They played Duke in the semifinals, having beaten Duke by 30 the year before in the final, and Duke kept it a close game, and UNLV hadn't experienced that all year. They got beat, and Duke went on to win the title. So those things can happen. It is the pressure builds for everyone, as you go past each round, and I think. South Carolina is the veteran. They got every reason to win. They deserve every accolade in terms of being the favorite. But it's still a tournament, and you still have to play, and you got to win 2 more games, and it's not guaranteed even for them.
Yeah, and I mean, Kim Mulkey and LSU would love to face the winner of that game in Sunday's championship game. If it's South Carolina, listen, they'll be big underdogs, but that's fine. You just want to get there and have a chance. So in order to do that, they've got to get by Virginia Tech. It's I think it's going to be a little bit different than that Iowa-South Carolina game. Rab, do you see sort of a low-scoring physical game like LSU's been playing? They've been able to win without shooting their best from the outside, and so maybe they've had to win that way. But do you see tonight's game going similar to that?
I do. LSU haven't scored, out of they haven't scored in the 80s since the Georgia game in the SEC tournament. Since the second half of the Tennessee game in the SEC tournament, they haven't really played great offensively. Not shot the ball well offensively. They've had some good performances inside. Angel Reese with the doubles, and LaDasia Williams, of course, went off. In the game against Utah, gave them that career high performance when Angel was in foul trouble. But they're gonna have to score some points to win this game. I don't think they can score in the 50s or low 60s again and expect to win this game. If they get to 80 somehow, LSU, I like their chances because they've been playing very good defense and they've been rebounding very well. They've held 2 teams in the 40s in the tournament so far, and they're out rebounding their opponents in the tournament by an average of about 9 per game. They have a lot of steals, they have a lot of blocks. I mean, a lot of those stats are very good, and they're going to have to be good because a player like Georgia Omore, their second leading scorer, the guard, shorter guard, not real big, kind of like Alexis Morris, but she's been filling it up from outside. She has 23 pointers in the tournament. She leads the all players in the women's tournament in 3-pointers per game. And so, I watched her against Maryland, and she made some under some duress, some tough defense. But LSU's been very good all year about switching off defenders and off of blocks and getting a defender in the face. And Angel Reese is a player who can step outside and defend you on the perimeter, and then maybe get back in position for a rebound. She's not anchored to the lane like a lot of really good post players are. So I think if LSU get a double from Angel Reese, you get a good scoring game from Alexis Morris. If they can get one more player, LaDasia Williams or Floje Johnson, who's been very up and down in the postseason, or Jasmine Carson coming off the bench to give them some 3-pointers. They made 1 3-pointer against Miami. They're probably going to have to do better than that tonight. If they can do that, I think they can advance.
Yeah, the shooting has been an issue, and it's all credit to Kim Mulkey and her team that they have won despite that, but probably need to find another gear tonight. You're watching the LSU women's basketball tournament update from The Advocate and sponsored by Hancock Whitney. Scott Rabalais is with me live from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, where we're about 3 hours away from tip-off, less than that now, between LSU and Virginia Tech. We can get you as prepared as you possibly can be for this game. Check out The Advocate's print edition this morning or online at theadvocate.com. If you're not in the Baton Rouge area, a full special section on LSU, Virginia Tech. Great stuff from Scott, from Reed Darcy, from our whole crew as far as putting that thing together. And so we'll get you ready for that one. And then, of course, Iowa, South Carolina, the recap tonight. Rabbi, we talk about Angel Reese, and she's a double-double machine. And you mentioned Elizabeth Kitley of Virginia Tech, her own double-double machine. She averages 18 and 11, I think, plus 2.3 blocks per game. Is it too simple to say who wins that individual matchup between Reese and Kitley will have an advantage in the overall game?
Maybe a little, because you're not sure, are they going to be defending each other solely. I mean, they're going to put LaDeja on Kitley. Are they going to try to she's more of a back to the basket player. Reese is a lot too, but she'll try to step out and hit some mid-range jumpers. They haven't been falling, but she'll give them a try. Like I said, she can defend out on the perimeter. I recall a play in the Michigan game where she picked up one of their guards at the top of the key and followed her all the way to the baseline and blocked the shot. And that's not something a lot of post players can give you. But I mean, it's an important matchup in terms of, you expect both players to get their points and get their rebounds. I think the rebounding can be the key. Can Kitley stop Angel Reese from the second chance points or the third chance points that she's so good at getting? If she can, then it's going to make it a lot tougher for LSU. If not, then it's a big advantage for the Tigers. But I don't think it just comes down to those two players. I think, like I said, they've got to worry about Amore. They've got 4 players who are averaging double figures, and LSU's got to win the rebounding battle and get some other scoring to take the pressure off of Reese and Morris. And Reese has got to stay in the game. I mean, she's fouled out of the last 2 games, and those are only 2 times she's fouled out all season long. And she's got to stay in the game and not put that pressure on LSU, because they've had some good play, like I said, from LaDeja Williams, from Samaya Smith, the freshman forward coming off the bench. But as Carolyn Peck from ESPN told me yesterday, she's played well, but Samaya Smith in the game is not like having Angel Reese in the game. So you want your star player in there, and they need her tonight, because Virginia Tech is a very skilled team as well, with some good pieces that will give LSU trouble if they're not playing their best.
Yeah, 100%. What sense do you get from the LSU roster? Kim Mulkey's been there before. As you said, their players haven't been. It's a new stage. Is there anxiousness? Is there excitement? What vibe do you get from the Tigers?
They've been a pretty loose group all year. I mean, I'm thinking that the video we saw of them opening up the Grinch Nike shoes from Vanessa Bryant, from Kobe Bryant's widow, that she sent the team, and like, they're kids, they're excited about the shoes. And they seem to be enjoying the whole atmosphere and the vibe of being here at the Final Four. Maybe it's a little big, but you play in the SEC, you play a lot of big games, so I don't think it's going to be too overwhelming for them. And you say, well, they got to get off to a good start. A lot of times they don't get off to a good start. They can get off to a good start against Miami offensively, and they end up winning the game. So I don't think too much is going to overwhelm them. I mean, they were kind of, the only time this year was when they went to South Carolina in that game on Super Bowl Sunday, and that was, the whole arena was pulling for South Carolina. And it's 18,000 people, it's about the same size as this arena, and they got a little overwhelmed there. But even if they played South Carolina in the final, it wouldn't be all against none. Pretty much, there would be some people pulling for the upset and be on the LSU side, so it wouldn't be that bad. But it would be. I think they're overall, aside from that game, they're a team that has handled everything pretty well, and it shows in their record, 32-2. People have knocked their non-conference schedule. They've still got to win the games, and they've gotten here with only a loss at South Carolina and a 2-point loss to Tennessee in the SEC tournament. So I don't think playing Virginia Tech is going to phase them, even though we're here at the Final Four.
All right, that's Scott Rabalais. He is getting ready for LSU versus Virginia Tech at the Women's Final Four in Dallas. Final thoughts, Scott? Maybe I'll put you on the spot. Ask for a prediction if you have one. How do you see this game going? Does LSU get its first ever Final Four victory there at the American Airlines Center?
One of those players I mentioned besides Reese and Morris are due for a good offensive game. Maybe LaDeja Williams, who didn't play as well offensively against Miami. Not many players did. Or Flau'jae Johnson, or Kateri Poole, who's now starting, or Jasmine Carson, somebody like that. Somebody else to give them a little offensive lift and spread things out and make it harder for Virginia Tech just to double down on Reese, or to try to deny Morris a chance to drive or get an open look. So I think somebody's going to do that, and I think the fact that LSU doesn't depend on the outside shooting as much, it's because it hasn't been there. Maybe, and they've still found a way to win. Maybe that plays to their advantage. So I'm going to say, with Kim Mulkey's experience as a coach, being in these situations, and an all-time great chief, she wins a lot of close games. And I think I see LSU pulling this one out in a game similar to the game against Utah, maybe something in the in the 60s, maybe 70 to 67 or something like that, and getting to the final. It'd be a stiff challenge if it's South Carolina, but you want to have that chance, and I think they're going to have that chance finally to get into the national championship game for the first time ever.
Of course, and so we will leave you at that. Kim Mulkey came back home to Louisiana to play in games like this and to coach in games like this, and here we are. That's Scott Rabalais. He is there to cover the game at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Women's Final Four tip-off at 6 o'clock on ESPN between LSU and Virginia Tech. Our thanks to our sponsor, Hancock Whitney, who has been with us this whole run, and I know they join all of the LSU fans out there in saying go Tigers tonight, so we will see what happens between LSU and Virginia Tech. For our producer, Patrick McGee, that's Scott Rabalais. I'm Zach Ewing. Enjoy the game, everyone.